Here we go. My next guest, 5-time first-team All-Pro linebacker, Panthers radio analyst, smartest man in football, Luke Kuechly. The draft is over. How are you? And I guess I'm supposed to look at your backdrop. Where are you? What's going on? What are the things back there?
I got a little BC helmet. I got a little Panthers helmet, and got a picture of my boys in the background. So I got a new background now, but it's the same computer, same me, and I'm excited to talk a little football.
Well, I'm so sad that you want to talk football because it's not what we're going to do, Luke. The raging debate online right now, it's the Teron Armsteads, the JJ Watts, all over TikTok, is a debate on who would win in a fight to the death, 100 men or one silverback gorilla. Who wins?
I don't know. Those gorillas are pretty intimidating. I looked at that video of you up there in Rwanda, and you're by that little guy, and the dad was sitting in the background looking pretty intimidating. So I think 100 guys is a lot of guys. I think the first couple go in there, they get beat up pretty good, and then everybody else decides, you know what, I like my life. I'm in a good spot. I don't think I need to look at that guy.
Yeah.
It's
the human fear thing, right? It would be how would you attack it? Because like the humans are intelligent. They could outsmart a gorilla that's in flight or fight mode. How would you attack? How would you scheme this up on your clipboard?
I guess you'd have to surround him and slowly move in there and attack him where he can't see you. And I think it all sounds really good, but we live in houses with roofs over our head and AC, and that guy's living out in the wild. He's getting rained on and he's hot and he's got to fight for his food. I think it sounds really good, and you get out there and you get beat up a little bit and you decide, hey, I don't really want to do this anymore.
Yeah, I'd say he could bite through people's bones. Okay, this is gnarly now at this point. I don't even know what this is. How many Luke Kuechlys would it take to take on a silverback gorilla?
I think it'd be a little more than 100. I think we'd have to add a zero and a comma in there. If we got a zero and a comma, we might have a chance.
That's not true. Okay, let's talk about your Panthers. How many Panthers could know? 8th overall, they take Shedeur McMillan, a wide receiver. How impactful does he have to be week one for you not to be at least a little bit upset they didn't go defense here, Luke?
You know what? I don't even know if it's week one. I think it's just over the course of the season. Does he provide value to that offense? And I think when you look at what we've done on the offensive side of the ball, you know, really starting in free agency last year, we bring all the big offensive linemen in. Robert Hunt has been unbelievable for us. He's a great player, but he's a better person. He's really a rock on our team on the offensive side of the ball. You get Damian Lewis, Corbett, you know, you draft the first round tackle in Icky, and then Taylor Moton has been a monster. You go draft Leggett, and then moving forward to this year, you go get Shedeur. And you look at our wide receivers in the offensive side of the ball, they're big. Thielen's 6'2", 6'3". Leggett's big. You look at Shedeur, he's a 6'5" guy. Jalen Coker is a big guy. So they're surrounding Bryce with guys up front, guys outside, and then you bring in Rico Dowdle, you draft ETN, and then obviously having Chuba back. The team is set up for Bryce to have a ton of success, and getting him back and getting Canales back and having the continuity moving forward from last year, I think is going to be really good. So could we have gone defense? Yes, I think Jalen Walker out of Georgia he's so fun to watch and a great person. And everything I've heard of him is he is your dude. He's a Panther through and through. That's what all I kept hearing this whole draft process. But for us to go offense, I think just shows our confidence in Bryce and giving him every opportunity to have success.
That's a really good take. Dave Canales literally lied to my face. Like, we all around good guy, great, like love him, love his wife, hung out at the owners' meetings. Look at how easy it was for this man to lie. Look at this. Sorry? Oh, they're grabbing it.
Okay, they're good. I was gonna say, might not.
We have to address, you know, the needs on defense first. We're 32nd in the NFL on defense, and that's something where our focus has gone to. You know.
Hey, you know what He didn't lie. He picked up 2 DNs, picked up 2 defensive ends. You know.
What do you make of those DNs? What do you think of the draft as a whole? Did it go how you thought it went after that first round, or are you impressed? Are you happy?
I like what we did. I think it's been really good starting, again, free agency this year. Address the defense, go get inside guys, go get outside guys. I think Trayvon Mooring out of Vegas is going to be really good, just a physical presence. And then you link him up with Ransom, who is at Ohio State, and you watch his tape, physical thump, attitude, go get the football. And then the one thing that, we didn't draft and we didn't get him in free agency, but having Derek Brown back on the inside of that defense and link him with Deshaun Robinson and Bobby Brown and some of the new guys that we got, Cam Jackson, just a big physical young guy. I like what we did. Having Derek Brown back in the inside of the defense not only helps everybody because he's a phenomenal player, but the leadership that he provides that defense as far as toughness, being at practice, physicality. He played that first game in New Orleans on a torn meniscus, played the whole game, played great, got on the plane, went home, and then woke up on Monday and said his knee hurt, and he had the knee injury, unfortunately. So for us, yeah, we would have loved to go get like a Mason Graham, or obviously Abdul Carter would have been awesome, but he was never going to get to us at 8. So I think our plan was probably all along, hey, none of those guys are going to be there. If we can't trade out and we got to pick a guy, T-Mac is going to be really good, and Bryce and him obviously have that connection. So I like where we're at. I think we've done a great job the last 2 years in free agency and the draft. And you get Canales back and you get Dan and Brant and all those guys moving in the same direction. I think there's a lot of excitement down here in Carolina for what we're going to have moving into the season.
And I think I heard a rumor that Bryce and Tetaroa are like hanging out already, or they were hanging out and working out. What do you know about that?
Yeah, you heard him after he got drafted, the Cali connection. So I think that's huge. I think when you look at Bryce and him meeting or seeing each other right here, that connection between wide receiver and quarterback is so important. And I saw it in Carolina. It was with Greg and Cam. Obviously, Greg was a tight end, but those guys had such great feel for each other, and they understood where each other was going, and they had routes on the backside of formations where it was strictly feel. And it was so fun to watch those guys in practice work through all of that, have mistakes, have corrections, have conversations on the side. And then when they get in the game, it was perfect. So yeah, I think them having an opportunity to be around each other pre-draft and get a feel for each other. And then I'm sure Bryce has endorsed him and talked to Dan and Dave and said, hey, I like this guy. We get along really well. It continues to move in the right direction.
Give the smaller quarterback, big receivers. Let's see what happens. I'm looking at the odds right now. Panthers plus 250 to make the playoffs over on FanDuel Sportsbook. I'd like to see that. Outside of the Panthers, who do you think improved most after the draft? Which team?
You look at what the Bears have done. I think has been fun to watch. You go grab, Loveland, and you go grab Luther Burden. That offense looks unbelievable. And then the one thing that I think they were trying to figure out is, they go get Darnell Wright a couple years ago at right tackle, and then the inside 3 were all free agent acquisitions. What are they going to do at left tackle? And then Ozzie Trapillo, of course, a BC guy. Ryan Poles, a BC offensive lineman. So
great name.
Yeah, I'm sure he was chatting in there. Ozzie's got size, length. His dad played in the league for a long time. And you watch him play and you talk to people about him, and they just talk about toughness, technique, knows where he needs to be. And when you got a guy like Ozzie that comes in, he doesn't just play one spot, right? You can move him from right side to left side. I think he played right tackle at BC. Obviously, the left tackle spot is the spot where they're trying to figure it out. They got a starter coming back, but he was banged up last year. To have the ability to have a swing tackle that can do both, that's a young guy with size and toughness and intelligence, I think is a really good grab for him. It's not sexy. It's not blow it out of the water, but it's a solid pick there in the second round. That Poles has a really good connection at BC. I like Ozzie Trapillo. I know we liked him a lot here, and I hope he has a great career.
Got a great name, Ozzie Trapillo, BC. We understand the connection. The Bears thing is interesting that you're saying they did so much to address the offensive line. I talked about it to start the show. Tooney, Jonah Jackson, Dahlman, Trapillo, like you're saying. It's interesting because I don't know that you like look at Twitter like this, but I don't know if you remember this, you got dragged to high heavens by Chicago fans for saying that Caleb Williams holds on to the ball a little bit, and that's something that he's going to have to work on. Literally everyone came for your neck saying, it's the offensive line, don't say that. And then that was like week 4, I think, something like that. Then somewhere around week 12, everyone shut up. Everyone in Chicago shut up because it was true. It was true that was happening. Do all of these additions fix that? Does Ben Johnson fix that? What does Caleb now have to do with all of this to make sure that he does get rid of the ball a little quicker?
Well, I think you look at that Ben Johnson system. I think the number one thing for him is to play within the system. You know, he's got there's bodies around him. They're great up front on the offensive line. They've got skill everywhere. Now is your job is to grow as a quarterback going into your second year and understand the best and the most valuable thing that I can do is get the ball to my playmakers. And we always talked about it on defense. The worst thing that happens is when we have to go tackle a guy. What I mean by that is incompletions, balls in the dirt, sacks, fumbles from the quarterback make our job a lot easier on the defensive side of the ball. The biggest thing for Caleb is to play within that system. Ben Johnson is obviously phenomenal, but get the ball to your playmakers in space. You already talked about Luther Burden after the catch. DJ Moore played in Carolina. The guy's a monster with the ball in his hand. So if I'm Caleb Williams, I'm finding ways to get my playmakers the ball and make defenses tackle those guys.
68 sacks last year. We want to see those come way down. It's on the offensive line. It's on Ben Johnson. It's also on Caleb. I just feel like you deserve an apology from Chicago. You're such a better man than I. I would be like, go on, guys. Want to chirp about me about that?
I let you ask for it for me.
I'll be your bodyguard. Totally. Like, I'll protect you from silverback gorillas and from Twitter trolls left and right. Shedeur Sanders.
Yep.
Do you think he starts? Will he start week 1?
I think there's an opportunity for him. You look at that quarterback room. I think going into week 1, if you were to say right now the quarterback that those guys have the most confidence in, I bet it's Flacco. He's been there, he's done it. Do I think they want him to be the starter? Probably not. I think they'd love it to be, one of those other guys. It looks like Deshaun probably won't start the season, but if you're Shedeur, right, I think it really comes down to you thought you were going to go a lot higher in the draft than you did. You thought maybe you'd be in the top 10, the top 5, certainly not falling to the 5th round. But now you get to go and be in a situation where as a competitive athlete and a competitor, this is where he should stand up and really thrive. People have counted him out. He's the second guy taken. That quarterback room is stacked with guys that are first-round picks with proven pedigree. Even you look at Dylan Gabriel, one of the most productive careers in college football. So, if I'm Shedeur, yeah, I'm upset that I didn't get drafted as high as I did. He played fantastically in college. His numbers speak for themselves. But now it's adversity hits. Am I going to stand up? And how big of a competitor am I? And you look at his dad, his family, that competitive drive is there. And I think it'll be really exciting to watch Shedeur. And I think he's going to learn a lot about himself going into OTAs and training camp, what kind of competitor he is. And I absolutely think that he's got an opportunity to be a starter at some point this season, just based on, what's in that room and what they want to get accomplished.
And I actually like that it's Dylan Gabriel that's in that quarterback room with him. I got to meet him early in the draft process. So impressed. He's a little older, a little more mature, a little experienced. I think he'll be a good person to sort of help navigate what's going on appropriately and as a great teammate. So I'm looking forward to seeing kind of what happens there. So I got to talk to a lot of these guys. A lot of the guys that got drafted to the Browns stopped by my show. This Carson Swessinger, who I know that you love, but he literally has your stats memorized. He knew what your 40 was. He knew what your vert was. You are his goals. You are his goals completely. And I know that you like him as well. First pick of the 2nd round, the Browns strike. They take the off-ball linebacker. What do you think of him? And what are we going to see from Carson Swessinger in Cleveland?
Well, first of all, he's got great hair. That hair that he has is phenomenal. That guy's got that part figured out. But the number one thing that I think he does really well is he attacks the line of scrimmage, and he's able to do that because I think he processes the game so well. And I think a lot goes into processing. Obviously, are you in the right spot? Do you prepare? But I think he plays with really good eyes. He knows where he's looking. He knows where his keys are. He understands when he gets a key from one of his early reads, where he needs to go. And a lot of guys early in their career, I was the same way, are lateral movers. It's safer to move laterally because it gives you angles to the football, but it doesn't allow you to make a ton of plays. It doesn't help the big guys up front. A lot of double teams. If you're moving sideways, those double teams stick and those guys get moved and mad. But what Carson does a great job is he attacks the line of scrimmage. He knows where he needs to be. He knows how to get there. He knows who's blocking him, and he gets downhill and he makes a lot of plays in the line of scrimmage, behind the line of scrimmage. And he's a great guy for these defensive linemen at the second in the NFL that don't like double teams. He's going to go down and pull those double teams off. He's physical, he's tough, and he's always around the football. So he's my type of guy, smart, intelligent, great processor. He's a ton of fun to watch.
I met Shamar Stewart. I was talking about him to start the show as well.
Yeah.
Sorry, we're asking. Sorry, all the other 32 teams. We decided to focus on all the same ones today. But the Bengals, they take him 17th overall. Speaking of physical, he's got all the talent, all the skills, all the traits, right? Not a lot of production. That was the question mark. That's why I think he's such a great value to any team he went through. He goes to the Bengals, though, and that's a team that needs to win right now. That is a team that does not have time to develop. Okay. I would love to know from your perspective, and I looked it up this morning, my producers did, that it seems like it'll be the same sort of defense that they ran last year in Cincinnati, even though they changed DCs. What kind of an impact will he have in this scheme right away?
Well, I think what he gives you is he gives you flexibility to play inside and outside. He's got the size and the length and the athletic ability in a 4-down front to play like that true defensive end in the C gap or outside the tackle. He gives you that. He's got plenty of ability to do that. But what he also does is when they switch over and they play more of a 3-down front, more of a 3-4, he can slide inside, play over the top of a tackle, outside edge of the tackle, and be physical because he has great length. He's got explosiveness. He's 270 pounds. Some people might say he's a little bit undersized to be there, but what he has that's unique is explosive ability. So if he's just going to sit there and take on tackles, he's able to do that. But what he is able to do is that twitchiness, that length, the ability to get vertical and shoot gaps. It gives him great ability to line them up outside.
How great can he be outside of all these? There's all these questions about him, stacking him up against the other guys in this draft class. How good can he be?
I think his ceiling for edge rushers as a true defensive end, I think is the best in the draft. I kind of exclude Abdul Carter because he's more of a stand-up outside backer, but I think Shamar's ceiling out of anybody in the draft is the highest because at raw athletic ability, physicality, length, explosiveness, if they can figure that out, he's going to be a really good player.
I hope they can figure that out with this window. We're going to take a short TV break. Luke, do not go anywhere. I want to talk. Why would it's not even May. Let's talk Defensive Player of the Year odds for next year. We'll be back after this with Ben Solak of ESPN. We should do odds for hair with these draft guys. That's Messenger. You're not wrong about that. I'm looking at DPOY. You mentioned Abdul Carter. So let's look at this. FanDuel Sportsbook, guys, get your futures in. Who's your end of April pick for DROY?
I think Abdul Carter. I think, you look at that front. Dexter Lawrence had 9 sacks and missed a handful of games. Brian Burns on the other side. Thibodeau, what are they going to do with him? But then you have Dexter Lawrence, Brian Burns, and then you put Abdul Carter on the other side. It's a problem waiting to happen. The one thing that's going to help him generate pass rush and sacks is are the Giants going to be good enough on offense to go get leads where they can close games out late on the defensive side of the ball? So I think it goes hand in hand, but Abdul Carter is a special player. And with Burns and Dexter Lawrence on that same defensive line, it's pretty special.
I saw you hanging out with Taylor Lewan and Will Compton on their podcast. They were running around asking draft picks questions. They had a blast in Green Bay. I haven't caught up with them yet, but let's take a look at them with Tataroa. I think we have it.
Give us your best mascot impression. Hey, chill.
How do you do?
Hey, I thought he did a good job. Hey, I give him a lot of credit for even trying. He probably you train all pre-draft for all the normal questions. They do all the media training. I don't think anybody in media trains for Taylor Lewan and Will Compton what they're going to ask. So,
what question did you get in your draft process can you remember a moment, a question that was weirding you out?
Weirding me out. I'll tell you what, I was super nervous. We went into, I did an interview with the Ravens, Harbaugh and all the guys in there.
Yeah.
And I was so nervous and I was probably getting hot and starting to sweat out of nerves and walk in there and they got the light shining right on you. And they introduce everybody in the whole room. And of course, head coach, GM, defensive coordinator. I had that on lock, but they introduced 20 guys to you. And then Harbaugh, after he introduced everybody, he's like, all right, go back around the room and name everybody. In my head about popped off, and he started smirking and saying, "Hey, don't worry about it. It was a joke." But
That
of
is
course,
terrifying.
yeah, of course, for me, I was, it ruined my whole interview because I'm like, man, I failed my first question miserably, but it was, those guys have so much fun. And if I was a coach, how funny would that be to do that?
All right, you're the best, Luke Kuechly. Thank you for joining us. Shamar Stewart, highest ceiling. Love to hear it. Have a good off season. We'll talk to you, I'm sure, in a little bit.